I hope you're having a good time. Thank you for at least making it out. It's a nice local show. I love this show a lot. My name is Lan Pitts. I'm a professional writer. I've written for GameSpot, Newsarama, comicbook.com, popculture.com, TV Guide, Boom Studios, Image Comics, Mad Cave Studios. Been doing that for 18 years.
You're a Boom now, right?
No, I'm in Mad Cave now.
Oh, Mad Cave. Okay.
Yeah, I have my next book with Mad Cave comes out soon.
Well, what is it? Let us know.
No, I can't. I can't. Yeah.
Secret.
No.
NDA.
Yeah, no, we have a whole marketing plan behind it, so when that happens, it'll be fine.
Cool.
I can just tell you.
We'll look forward to it.
I know. And then I'm joined by three lovely writers, and introduce yourselves.
Oh my God, go cook in my mouth.
Okay, Martin, you go last then.
Okay, there we go.
My name is Bohdan Neswiacheny. I am an indie comic book writer creator based in South Florida. My new project that I've been working on is called Welcome to Hobbs End. It takes elements of the Midwest in the late 90s and kind of melds it with high fantasy. And then I'm relaunching my book Blackbird, which is Native American mythology mixed with like Lovecraft lore, but it's a supernatural story about family. And these are my two current projects at the moment.
My name is Heidi Hess, and I am a paranormal fiction writer. I specialize in short fiction, although I do have a full-length novel that's being edited as we speak. The stuff that I write, it's similar to like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone. I say paranormal because it's like a blanket, but really it's a little bit of science fiction, that kind of thing. So I write prose, and I've been published. I published through Amazon. I do have several short stories that have been published by other publishers, small house publishers. I live in Lake Worth, which is a little bit south of here, about 3 hours south.
Now, since you're...
Now I'm cookie free.
Yes.
Yes. I'm Martin Pierro. I actually live about 5 minutes from Heidi in Lake Worth, Florida. I publish comic books. I've been doing it for 16 years now. Started off as self-publishing, picked up other writers and artists along the way in their projects. Distributed by Diamond, but that don't mean so much anymore.
No.
So yeah, I've been doing it, and my industry keeps changing, and so now I'm in the Kickstarter game for a while. I got a Kickstarter funding right now for a trade paperback that was set up for a Diamond release later this year, so we'll see what happens with that. But I love comics. It's in my blood. I quit my job 13 years ago, and this is all I do is I work with comic shops. I publish comics. I run a comic convention. My whole world is comic books now.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Although I've been like freelancing, I did marketing for Hewlett Packard. And
My dad used to work for him.
oh, cool. Yeah, no, I handled like virtualization and like copy for like webinars, and then I quit that 13, 14 years ago, and I haven't looked back. So it's all comics and other entertainment writing.
Living the dream.
Sure. Sure. When I can sleep, yeah. Before we like get into like our own personal journeys, I feel like it's never been easier to self-publish. Even like our own comic, we just went through the Comixology program, and when that was a thing.
Again, everything changes. So
Everything
fast
changes. And so we were a Comixology original. We did the submission, and then that was great. And then that got nuked, and then we took it over to Image. That lasted for a minute, and now I'm doing a book at Batcave. But I feel like it's never been easier. Like as you said, you're published through Amazon. Like just do their submission portal, they help you for pretty much for the most process of especially getting, ISBNs and everything, because that's just something no one really teaches you. A lot of this stuff is on the job training. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I kind of want to go through with, in the next 45 to, hour, or until we just stop talking, whichever comes first.
7 hours, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, that was my journey. I wanted to make comics since I was like 6, and went to school for theater, so I did not write until I was like maybe 24. And then I started working for different outlets, and then that just picked up, and then I had to get a normal job for a minute, and then I got a normal job and hated it. And now I'm doing this, and it's great. My self-publishing journey, I just wanted to make a comic. I teamed up with the artist Joe Hunter out of Toledo, who we have our Mad Cave book with now, and he's great. And just trying to make your best. And then people liked it enough. Let's just find a printer, and we found a printer, Comics Wellspring, and it just kind of came from there. And you have something tangible, and I feel like that's the important thing, because everyone's like, well, how do I get my thing in front of people's faces? You have to make the thing.
Yes.
That's that's you got to make the thing. It can't just be. And I've done these writer panels for umpteen years, and it's like, well, I have an idea. I'm like, that's intangible. Nobody gives a shit. Pardon, but like,
And I was like, they're gonna steal my idea.
I'm like, no, I'm not. No, it's not. It's like the guy trying to sue Disney and Moana. I'm like, sure. Like, the fact that you had this idea that they've also had, you can't be the only one with a similar idea like that. But that's the thing. Ideas are intangible, and no one cares. If you walk up to an editor and you're like, I have an idea for X, Y, Z, and they're like, cool, make it. Because I'm not going to go, who are you? And especially in this, in this business model, it's not proven. And I know that's hard because people consider that gatekeeping, but it's not gatekeeping. It's we don't know you. Like, be professional, make something. And so that was the thing. And I was just like, if I'm in the meantime, I just want to start making things.
Like you said, it's so easy to make. Gatekeeping is at its lowest now. It's ever
Gosh, yeah, no one cares. Just make something.
Right.
Just make it. And if it's good and people like it, cool, great. And if not, still make it.
It's funny, your creative journey is very similar to mine.
Yeah.
You see those memes online, imagine if you were doing what you wanted to do when you were 5. I'm like, I am. That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, but it was a road to get here. I wanted to do as a kid. I ended up working in theater, film, television, then real jobs, and then I came back. I came back to this, which is what I've always wanted to do.
What about you?
So, my journey?
Yeah, your journey. Yeah.
So, I've always been a little bit of a writer. Junior high, there was that poetry, high school poetry, and it was a real creative outlet for me. As a growing up teenager, there's that teenage angst. Nobody understands me, blah blah blah. Right. And you sit and you write and that kind of a thing.
I feel I'm still
and
in
then,
that a little bit.
And then I did a little work. I went to school. I became a nurse. And then I was actually working at an elementary school, shadowing a little girl with spina bifida, and was doing that. And then my son, his teacher, turns out knows Martin, and Martin and I, we go way back. We go like 5th grade.
Exactly.
And so but
I
it was.
didn't know that.
Yep.
That's wild.
I know. Yeah. And so,
Florida.
but it was, we got reconnected, and then Martin was with Cosmic Times, and I worked for Cosmic Times for a couple of years.
Till the pandemic.
It was a couple of years, yeah. But it was just great because it was like there was this creative, and everything, just all of that creative just kind of got kicked up, and then I went ahead and I sat down. No, it was excellent. No, it was great. It was great. And so I went ahead and I sat down and I started writing, and then during the pandemic, there's a publisher, Neon Sunrise Publishing. If you get a chance, they're a small publisher. They do a lot of anthologies, and they're always looking for submissions for their anthologies. And they're wonderful to work with. They're nice people. And so I went ahead and I wrote a story. And the anthology that I'm in, it's called The Light That Never Goes Out. So it's a hope-themed anthology. And I wrote a story. At the time, I was feeling hopeless. And so I thought, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write. And so that's what I did. And I sent it in, and I thought, he's not going to take it. I just know it, and it's not going to make it. And they were like, yeah, you're in. And they gave me a little more confidence. And so I went ahead and I wrote another story called Spin the Bottle. And it was for an anthology for D&T Publishing. But the name of the anthology was It's All Fun and Games Until Somebody Dies. And so I picked Spin the Bottle because I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. I picked Monopoly, because of the licensing issue, that kind of thing. And so I went ahead and I sent that in. And I woke up, it was New Year's Day, I woke up. And I remember thinking, my resolution this year, the one goal, I want to be paid for my story. And I woke up to an email that said, we accepted it and we're going to pay you XYZ. And I was like, yes. It was like New Year's Day. It was just, it was great. So
goals accomplished on the first of the year. Look at that.
Yeah. And so after that, I went ahead and I was like, okay, this is good. I think I can do this. And so I have my 2 collections. I have a 3rd that's coming out. It's called The Chronicles of Chaos. I specialize in short fiction, that weird, creepy stuff. And I publish through Amazon, through KDP. So that's my story.
You're sticking to it.
Yeah, am I sticking to it? Yeah. What's your story, Martin Glory?
My background actually started in, kind of like Martin's, in television, film production. I studied screenplay writing when I was in school and always loved comics. And it was growing up going to things like MegaCon, where I would see people doing their own books, and I always kind of caught my eyes. You were one of the people, yeah. And you know, it wasn't until I was in my kind of late 20s where I started thinking like, okay, maybe this is something I could do. And my first book I ever did, I did it with my production designer at the time, which in movies, that's like the head of the art department, and the book was just a mess. I mean, we didn't know how to print it. It was like a magazine. But it was the first attempt, and you know, never really looked back since then. And you know, I've done work for a publisher that no one has ever heard of. Stop. You know, and since COVID, I've been kind of slowly rebooting the stuff I've been working on with some new projects. And for me, storytelling is just the best version of myself.
Yeah, but hashtag was a big deal. That was somebody paying you to make comics.
No, you're right. Absolutely. Yes. I
Nobody
was
knows.
trying not to name them, Martin.
Nobody knows who they are.
Okay.
But
yeah.
at least it's something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but the big thing for me with like the advent of things like Kickstarter is have a story to tell. Like there's lots of avenues for you to get this stuff, whether it's like a book or a comic, in front of people.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I've worked with Kickstarter a few times. I've done, like, I think 5 anthologies through them.
That you've run or you were part of?
Both.
Okay.
So, both. You have to, like, budget that accordingly. Don't assume, like, one thing. I mean, they're going to take their 30%.
Yeah.
And then you're going to add in, like, that shipping. And shipping now is even more astronomical than it was.
You have to be so strategic.
Yep, and that's it. And again, it's not boiling down to gatekeeping. It's just work. It's work in numbers and time for yourself and get that thing out there. Does anyone know what the bleed is in a page? There you go. Yeah, see, yeah. But so that's something. Again, most of that is just on the job training.
Right. But I was going to say, you deal with 2 different printers. You're using the same equipment, and the setup file is totally different. Like,
Yep.
Why do you need an extra inch? Well, we need an extra. Okay.
Well, that was the thing with booms had different dimensions than images. So like
but
when
the
we
same size final
Yep.
product.
Can't tell you, bud. Like that was the thing because the image had us like sent, and they're different than Mad Cave. So because Mad Cave sent us the template for things and then image setup, and I just remember thinking the image setup it's something down to like an 1/8, and it's just why like it's just I don't
I'm
know.
always
This
like,
is the
"Do you have
printer
a
we
template?
use.
Just send me the template. Send me the template.
Yeah. So they had to send us like all these page templates. It's something people really have to know, especially if they want to just print their own stuff. Because
Well, again, you learn on the job. This was a printer in Taiwan, and this again totally different specs than what I've been dealing with.
Yeah.
And so that's why some of it looks a little wrong.
Yeah.
So you go and you try, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the mistake is part of the process.
Oh no, I'm
and it's
not.
how you
I'm
learn.
But they can
Yeah.
be, but they can be
Trial
very
and error.
expensive mistakes because
Yes.
it was a guy who brought me his book and he said he paid like $300 for 6 copies, and I said, "What the?"
$300.
He would have that's like an offset
Because he didn't know what to do. So he had like
Yeah.
raised lettering in his script. He had like all this paper stock, and I'm like, "Buddy, this is $2.67, and look at that." He's like, "Where?"
It doesn't even make sense though.
Yeah, because he just didn't know what he was
If,
doing.
I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt.
No, but
Yeah.
that's it. It's just some people like everything is learned on the job, but if they don't have anyone to teach them, it's just
If I may, with my the lettering team that I use for my books,
who do you use?
I use Metal Ninja.
Okay, shout them out.
Yeah, no, they're great. If you
What's
are,
Joel's last name? Joel.
it's Joel Rodriguez. It's his company, Metal Ninja
Yeah.
Studios. They do all my lettering and file formatting. They are great. And they also have a relationship with the printer that I use. So fortunately, the whole idea of
Rich.
like figuring out the printing template, I had no issue with them. But there was another friend, her comic, a couple years ago, I had introduced them to my printer, and they kept having all of these issues where it was like, God, like art's getting cut off. And when I finally looked at the book, I'm like where's your bleed? Are you looking at their template? And she goes, template?
Yeah.
But that's on them.
That's on them, though.
Yeah, they should have said something.
You have to communicate with whatever vendors you're using, and the more you do this, the better you'll get. But they just went through so many reprints, and it's like, well, our artist just likes to go all the way out. It's like, no, you have to work
Well, you
with
can
it.
go all the way up, but work with, but
Right.
everything, the good stuff has to be in the sim.
Right.
Unfortunately for them, it was a costly trial and error, but eventually they got it. But
That's on Rich though for that, because
No, it's not. It's not on Rich. Is my point. It's definitely on. Yeah, it wasn't on.
But
the
I
printer.
had a printer.
Yeah.
I sent the Void Rivals second volume to. Oh, it was Rich, right? But whatever. And they said, you have page 11. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I screwed up and I messed up my files when I sent them.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of one. We don't need two.
Yeah.
The printer is Comic Impressions, by the way. If you ever, yeah,
They're in Fort Myers.
They're the best.
They're a good printer.
They're the best
I
printer
think
I've worked with thus far.
I think Greco does a fine, or what they call
Comics
it.
Wellspring, yeah.
Wellspring.
Wellspring.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
I'm
I use
giving you a high five
Wellspring.
double. No, that's I just go to Tony and his team, and they're
They do a
great.
great job.
I used Wellspring
them
back
all.
in the day when my
And,
books were in black and white.
I started
Nice.
with Kablam.
Yeah.
They're still
Yeah.
out there. They're
Kablam still out here?
Kablam. They used to do shows. They stopped doing shows.
They're an
That's-
institution.
Yeah.
They are.
No, if you go to my earlier books,
COVID took away these institutions. Diamond's about to go away. What are you talking about?
Diamond, what's that?
Our institutions and pillars are made of just sand.
By the way, they might not know what's going on with Diamond. We've referenced that.
Do you guys know what's going on with Diamond?
you know
Diamond
what Diamond
You
distributors?
know what Diamond is?
Okay, so how you order your comics. Okay, great. Love this. So basically, how you order your comics is through a book called Previews, and that's usually done through a book
It used to be a
company.
bigger catalog, but
Bigger
If you have
catalog.
a comic store is how you order
it's like
it.
a
Yeah.
phone book.
Yeah.
Phone book.
And it's Diamond Distributors, and they've been basically a monopoly for 30-something years at this point for like how you get your comics through your comic
Since
store.
96, 97.
Something crazy like that. And they've been the only one. Steve Jeppe, he lives in Maryland. He's a multimillionaire. He used to own the Jeppe Museum of Pop Culture.
He owns the Baltimore Ravens, doesn't he?
Yes,
Yes.
one of them anyway.
Yeah.
One of the owners. And I'm in Baltimore. And so he used to have this huge museum of just his comic collection, and it's just insane numbers. But I mean, that's what he did. His whole work was in comics. But because of the pandemic, a lot of Diamond shut down for like weeks.
Well, to jump on that, DC had an exclusive contract with Diamond for 20-something years.
And then they went with Lunar.
But the caveat in the contract was
First Scholastic.
if Diamond ever failed to ship their books, they could leave Diamond. They could break the contract.
And then for years, Diamond's just been the only one. So who's ever going to break?
So DC did, and they hooked up with a company called DCBS, which is not a digital, it's an online comic store. And they started Lunar
Yeah.
with that. So the whole new distribution company started because DC left Diamond.
And now, not a lot of companies are still with Image.
Where's Marvel?
Diamond.
Who's Marvel with?
Marvel's with Penguin Random House.
Yep.
But so was IDW, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But no, losing the big two killed him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's-
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
they also lost the Medium 5.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with like that whole institution?
Right.
So, but
Making indie comics a whole.
it's a whole other
Yeah.
thing because used to have these indie publishers like SLG and even like Oni and
Slave Labor Graphics. I haven't thought about them in years.
oh yeah, buddy.
They
So-
had the Disney license for a minute.
They had and so that kind of like floated around, and that's how it is. But I mean, that's why like just making your own stuff, you can't rely on a lot of things, especially if you just want to do it. So I'm going to do a quick show of hands. How many people have a comic idea? Kate, why are you here? Like you don't have ideas? You don't have, okay, you just want to learn?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, great.
Can I do a shout out?
Sure.
There's a
You're the one recording.
oh yes, true.
So,
Not shout out to myself, but there's a creator here, Josh Blaylock. He wrote a book years ago called I think it's called How to Publish Comics, Not Just Make Them. And it was my guide for the longest time because he laid out the steps, how to navigate yourself through this industry, conventions, talks a little bit about bleed and stuff in there. And he's here, ironically, at this show. But his
coincidentally, I don't think it's
book,
ironic.
coincidentally, yes. See?
I think it's ironic that he wasn't
That's
here.
why we hire editors.
Yeah.
Yes. But ironically, I still have that book in my backpack. I still carry it with me.
I think also
So,
How outdated
coincidentally.
is some of that stuff in the book now?
it's outdated. He even admitted when I spoke to him.
When was it published?
Well, he should do
It would have published whenever he was doing G.I. Joe. So you're talking what?
2008, 2007.
No, it was like when was 9/11? It was around 9/11 time.
Oh, 2001.
Yeah.
The Devil's Due, right?
The Devil's Due.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is before IDW had the license.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's right. Because then Dreamwave, because he also had Voltron. We're doing the 80. Josh and I go back like
Oh yeah.
17 years at this point.
Well, yeah.
So, because, yeah. And then, I mean, but Devil's Due had its own situation.
We don't need to get into that.
You know,
but again, that's one of my problems. When I started getting through Diamond, I got too big. I got to the point I couldn't manage what I was doing, and I had a financial collapse because of it. Yeah. So you got to be prepared for what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I had a couple of good stories, and I thought I could piece them together to put something together. And so I just went ahead and I jumped on KDP, and I thought, I'm just going to give it a shot. And it turns out there's a lot of people out there that are publishing novels that are paying an awful lot of money to do it. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars.
Print runs and stuff. Yeah.
No, just to get it published. And so those are vanity publishers, and you have to stay away from them.
I think it's like 40 grand. Someone told me that they were quoted to do their whole book.
Yeah, and that's 20 grand, 40 grand.
I think he had
do you have a question?
Yeah, if I had one thing to say to a writer or artist or anything like that who wanted to publish, to stay the hell away from vanity publishers.
Amen. Now, the general public, and people that want to write are becoming privy to the vanity publishers, but the publishers are getting sneaky. They're getting really, really sneaky. So it's not just it's going to cost you $4,500. Now it's not going to cost you anything to sign this contract. And then you go ahead and you sign the contract, and then they'll go ahead and they'll say, well, yeah, we'll get you your royalties, but you know what, we had to pay for editing. So however much it costs for the editing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that out of your royalties. Or they'll, in the contract, it'll say this, you agreed not to publish this with anybody else for 2 years, and then, but if we change the cover, that renews the 2 years. And so if you have the vanity publishers, they'll look at the contract, they'll say, how can we keep this? And then they'll change the cover, charge you for it, take it out of your royalties. See, they're real sneaky, you gotta be careful. And you're gonna spend money on the editing. Do that. Well, everything else you could do, and literally when I say everything, the cover, formatting, is formatting a pain? Yes.
Well, the covers you're able to do through Amazon, right?
No, the covers, I go ahead and I start out in Canva. I really do. And I have the free subscription. I don't pay for it. I just jump in. And then I'll go ahead and I'll play with things. Do I like this? Do I not like this? And anything that I can't do in Canva, I move over to Photoshop. Blur the edges, let's do this, let's do that. It takes me longer to work on things in Photoshop than it does in Canva. Canva is very intuitive, but Canva is free.
Yeah, I'm also things to put money in. That's going to be lettering.
Yes.
If you don't know a good letterer, there's a whole bunch of people out there that studios are just ready, just can do it, and they're great.
I'll tell you, my first book, I'm like, I'll cut corners. I can. How hard is lettering? I can do that. It's hard. Yeah.
Do your scripts change after you see the art?
Of course.
Mine do, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. That's why it's never final until it's
printed. I say final edit for the art.
Yeah. And that's usually how it works, because sometimes artists will come up and your collaborators will have better ideas than you did, and that's fine. I like that.
I get all the time, hey, can I make this 4 panels instead of 5? Sure.
I can just rework things. Just take whole lines out. That's for me. Yeah. That's fine. You don't need a good cover artist especially if you just use the artist you want. Some people spend extra money for like a more bigger name, just more visual presentation, but a logo designer too. If your letterer doesn't do logo design, there's design houses out there that do work. Just make your presentation as best as it can, and then the rest will hopefully follow.
Okay, well, I want to say something about the whole contract situation. The two things actually. In the comic business, especially the indie market, there have been creators who have been totally screwed on contracts because they'll say things in it like the contract's so good as long as the publisher continues to print copies of the book.
Alan Moore.
Not naming some of Alan Moore, but I'm talking like Action Lab. There's a group of creators that can't even republish their stuff.
Really?
Because Action Lab has a hold on it that says they have the rights to it, and they'll print 10 copies. Yep, we printed it.
Yeah.
We hold the rights.
No, that's my friend David Pepos is the same situation. He did. Oh my gosh, what is his? It just got optioned for Netflix. I can't remember his book's name, but he did several books for Action Lab, and he can't get the rights back. But it doesn't matter. I mean, he's over at Marvel and Dynamite having a blast on Space Ghost and like the new Cable book. But like, awesome. he still wants his book.
I hear great things about that Space Ghost book too.
Space Ghost, he's really good at that Space Ghost book. It's really good
Dynamite.
So it's 9 million covers every month.
Yeah, and then Mad Cave just got the, he's just about to take over Speed Racer. Image, and people are like, how do I get my book from Image? They have a submission portal 24/7 on their website. So that's what I tell people, gatekeeping doesn't really exist. We're in a weird age now where you could be your own boss. It doesn't pay well maybe, but no one is stopping you.
Like I said, even if you never make a dime on your comics, at least now you have a resume.
You have something.
Yeah.
You have something tangible, and I feel like that doesn't really compute with people a lot. There's never been, and there's always tutorials online. Even though Amazon does your ISBN, there's websites where you can register and just pay a quick fee. I think it's
No, I bought a bunch of ISBNs like 10 years ago, and I'm still working through them all.
yeah,
So,
like super cheap if you want to work with a collaborator and you want to make sure everything's on the upfront and legit, and you have like a genuine partnership. LegalZoom. There's a bunch of just websites like if you want to make an LLC, cool. There's websites to make an LLC. Just file. We did that. We have one for our R&D stuff,
all right.
and it made us look like, oh, you guys actually did the work. And that's the thing. People just it boils down to doing the work. And I know that's the worst thing to tell people.
Learning, always be learning. Like, that's my thing too. Always be learning. As a writer, I'm always learning how to be a better writer.
Yeah.
You know, if you read what I wrote 10 years ago to now, it's embarrassing. Because I've grown and I learn and everything. Art's the same way, even business-wise. I mean, I've become better at doing business than I was, say, 10 years ago.
That's how I just wanted to write and just be weird. I mean, no one stops you. But I mean, that's how like Cassandra Clare got started. She was writing Harry Potter fan fiction on LiveJournal. And like, that was her whole thing.
One of the best things I feel I ever wrote, and it bothers me to this day, I did it for Blue Water. I wrote this. I wrote this Bill Gates biography that they're still making money on, and I did that one and an Ariana Huffington one. And I realized, wait a minute, they're never going to pay me.
No,
I'm never going to get paid by it, and that's why I stopped working with them. But I'm like, darn it, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
I worked really, really hard on that.
No one paid me for my work, and that's fine. Like,
you did some Blue Waters though?
No, I was just saying, but no one paid me for my fan fiction. That was just joy.
Your heart.
Yeah, my heart was very full.
Yes, it's all chest. It's all chest.
But yeah, and so I mean, but that's the deal. People automatically want to adjust. Kindle. I don't know about Kindle's royalties. Comixology royalties were nice.
They've dried up.
Well, Comixology doesn't exist.
When I get emails, here's $5 from Amazon. I'm like, what was this for? Oh, right, I have books on their platform.
Oh yeah, Comixology was nice. And then the fun thing is you get like a spreadsheet on Stealing where you did the sales most. Like for our comic, we did huge sales in Scotland and Wales for some reason. Can't tell you why, but it was like that first week it was like $250.
Right.
And then like it was just nice random like, oh cool.
Did you move it all over to the Kindle too on that time?
No. I let it dry up. And so now it's just like people, because I just have the first issue, I just bring it with me just to have something to sell. Are there more of this? I'm like, there used to be. Like we're just going to kickstart the trade after the Mad Cave book. We're just going to kickstart the trade, and that's fine. But I mean, that's how it works. But again, we can do that because there's an outlet for that.
I missed the first part, but you said you got started with script writing for like film or TV first.
Yeah,
and
television first, yeah.
Yeah. Was the process of going from like TV script writing to comic script writing?
Yeah, I was trained how to write movie scripts when I was in college, and it is a totally different thing. It's a long process to tell you how that works.
For me, when you do films, there's a document called like a shot list, and a comic script is sort of like a film script and a shot list sort of merged together. And
Depends on how you write.
yeah, but for me, because I did the same thing, screenplay writing was kind of an easy transition into comics. I mean, it's just more of a...
But it's not, because the pacing and the of comics as a whole.
Well, yeah, the pacing's different, but still, I mean, the process...
You have to tell
the
what would
process
be
is still the same.
200 pages of a script and a 22-page comic.
That's true. Yeah, the pacing's different, but the process for me, I found it very interchangeable.
And the beauty of comics over, say, films, you can do all kinds of experimental, crazy stuff that isn't even possible in film. Not that you can't, special effects wise. I'm just talking. I'm going to do every fourth panel is going to be blue, and you got to figure out why, and things like that.
All right, well, thank everyone for showing up. Thank you. Have a good rest of your show.